meeting of the Walpole Board of Sewer and Water Commissioners being held at the E.J. Delaney Treatment Plant on Monday, October 28th, time being 6:30 p.m. We open the meeting. I just would like to jump a little bit on the agenda. The first thing, I would just like to honor Rick Mattson. He celebrated his 50th year as an employment at the town of Walpole, if you can believe it. And he was honored by a party, a little festivity at Town Hall the other day where he received various gifts, knives, sticks, spears. It was very interesting, the presents you got, cupcakes. But Rick, we appreciate your service, and it's an honor to have you with us.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Your long tenure, expertise, and tutoring of everybody is well received.
Thank you.
So,
What did you start out with? Were you always with the water department, or were you in others?
Yes, 40,
Oh, no, I didn't know if you,
42 years.
it started with this department or moved and eventually settled?
No,
All right.
42 years. in water.
Good, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Yes.
at the time, they didn't have age limits. He started at the age of 5. Okay, I would like to move up, suspend our abatements in the superintendent's report and move right up to the MWRA discussion. We're honored to have the town engineer, Mark from Norwood, a longtime person known to Walpole as well. I don't know, he doesn't precede you, Rick, but he was back in the
Well,
day.
Mike and I worked together for several years. 5 years, yeah.
Back in the day.
36 years ago. Yeah.
So we appreciate it very much. So we have, just so the commissioners know, I did have a meeting with the administrator for the town of Norwood. He was very gracious to discuss our interest in the MWRA hookup. And he offered, since we've been having some analysis from the town management, I thought it'd be good to have, hear from Mark about their rationale on the Washington Street hookup. People were questioning. Mark, essentially, I think part of the discussion was that Walpole has been presented more or less several opportunities, you know, one being, and I'm just, other members can chime in here, but one being a Mine Brook well that we have that we could re-pursue, or putting in a new well, and also the notion of perimeter wells around a couple of existing wells, along with some more outline type opportunities like possibly bringing water down the sewer corridor, the sewer easement that we have from Westwood. So at any rate, as the analysis of this came out, it became increasingly expensive for a pump station, for the piping to hook up to Norwood, and then for the ask from Norwood itself about the agreement between the two communities for wheeling water through Norwood from the MWRA. And I think that and again, I'm just kind of trying to synthesize this for opening the discussion. People here were, I guess, on our side of the ledger, we were surprised at the potential projected expense of a pump station from our piece of the pie. And then also, not so much the wheeling fee. I think people recognize that the wheeling fee is just part of the game, and that goes in perpetuity, the 20%. And we estimate that at full throttle, that could be $300,000 or more a year that we'd be paying to Norwood forever, basically. But more so the principle of the Hawes Brook crossing and the piping and the things that came to us at a figure of somewhere between 6 million or plus, and then the interest part of that. So those were somewhat the concerns of our board, of that adding up to more than possibly a projection of a new well. And sort of the thinking was, and these are unknowns too, I guess, just to recognize, we don't, and your administrator pointed that out clearly, that really they could go out to bid and just see what the pricing is. It might be 5-point-something million for the work that Norwood has organized and assigned to this deal, so to speak. So I guess we're here maybe to listen to you, you know, about what, how you perceive it, how it was recommended to you by your consultants. So we sort of have a, you know, firsthand, if that's okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark Ryan, Director of Public Works and Town Engineer in Norwood. Thank you for having me tonight, and once again, Rick, congratulations. It's quite an accomplishment. So Walpole approached Norwood about the possibility of an interconnection to our water system to be fed water from the MWRA supply. So our engineering consultant, Stantec, did a hydraulic analysis system-wide in Norwood based on the parameters that were told to us for 1 million gallons per day. And our engineer, Stantec, worked with your engineer, Weston and Sampson, on this project, but Stantec did most of the heavy lifting. And they looked at a couple connection points. One would be Route 1 at Union Street, and then the other was Mylod Street at the Walpole Norwood town line. And ultimately, Walpole selected the Mylod Street as the preferred location. To us, that seemed logical, better sense than the Union Street. So our engineer, based on the hydraulic analysis and the selection of the two sites, and ultimately the preferred Mylod Street, put together a memo and some cost to it. So, you know, backing up a little bit, that hydraulic analysis showed that when Walpole is drawing 1 million gallons a day, in concert with Sharon, because we already have a memorandum of understanding with Sharon, and we have a connection with them for an emergency supply of 1 million gallons a day. Adding Walpole's on top of that put some stresses on our system. Namely, there are reductions in pressure, not huge, manageable, and reduction in fire flows. Once again, not great reductions, but reductions nonetheless for the Norwood community. So we put together a scenario of two scenarios. One would be an emergency connection only, and that would be 1 million gallons a day, and it'd have to be an emergency as declared by Mass DEP. It couldn't be something that Walpole could declare on their own. And we came up with a price tag of approximately $3 million for that work. And that work required a replacement of the water main on Mylod Street from Washington Street to the Walpole Norwood town line. But there are other parts of the network, namely through Windsor Gardens and under the railroad bridge to Hawes Brook, because that's another connection to the whole hydraulic analysis that would be under a lot of stress, and that needed to be replaced. So, you know, 3 areas in general location of the Norwood Walpole town line that required upgrades, and you know, for an emergency connection only, we came up with a price tag of $3 million. We also looked at the price tag if there was a permanent 1 million gallons per day, and that we felt put additional stress on our system because this would be year-round. So we looked at what that required in addition to those 3 areas, and one of them was on Sumner Street coming out from Route 1. A portion of Sumner Street has a 12-inch main. We'd have to increase the size of the main from approximately House 98 Sumner Street to Pleasant Street, and then from Pleasant Street, from Sumner to Moore Street. And that price tag for the permanent million gallons per day was estimated to be $5 million. So, you know, we had discussions back, the memo was put together back in February of '24, and we met with Jim Johnson and Rick and others, and they did express their concern on the price. And at that time, the memo was talking $8 million because we had another area of concern. When we went back to our town manager, General Manager Tony Mazzucco, we expressed Walpole's concern, and he told us what's the bare minimum that we can do to allow Walpole to connect. So they $8 million that I talked about before, we broke down into two options, and those are the two options I talked about: an emergency supply for $3 million and a permanent supply for $5 million. So, you know, it's up to Walpole. This is a really not major benefit to the town of Norwood to do this. We'd like to help you out, just like we'd like to help Sharon out, but, you know, we do have to look out for our system and our customers. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd love to answer any questions.
Okay. Anybody, Bill, you have any questions?
No?
No? Anybody? No questions? Okay, so, is there you have a commission, a water commission in Norwood as well?
We do not. Board of
Okay.
Selectmen. no.
Okay, it's a board of selectmen, so they blessed this, the 5 million and the 3 million?
Yes, and I will caution, Mr. Chairman, this, bless you, that this estimate was put together last February, so now we're, you know, 8 months later. So, I mean, we'd have to just check with that engineer. You know, prices do increase. I don't think there'd be a big increase, and maybe it just stays the same, but we're roughly in that neighborhood. And they have blessed us, the selectmen.
Okay, so a permanent hookup would involve, aside from what it involves on our side, it would involve the 20% wheeling fee and $5 million if it was a permanent. So,
Right, the wheeling fee's on top of that $5
Yeah.
million, yes.
exactly, okay.
Mhm.
And far as the interest in that, and I don't know, I don't want to ask you questions if you didn't handle that part of it, but one of the questions was, does Norwood borrow the money and use it in, because I think Mr. Bazooka mentioned that you may not borrow the first tranche of money for 2.5 years, and then you might borrow 50% of it, and then the rest of it. You know, it might be in a staggered fashion. I don't know, depending, I guess, on the construction components of the work you're gonna be doing. So it would be hard for us to estimate, sit here and estimate what the interest charges would be on that. Now, you know, we were thinking of trying to get a standard type of payment from the ratepayers on an annual basis to offset that that 5 million, let's say 300 and some thousand, or 300,000 a year, every year for 25 years or 20 years, whatever that formula is, versus trying to guess. I guess the other way to do it would be to have you have that agreement, knowing the figure, and as you borrow, and if the interest rates go down, for example, we would get some kind of an annual breakout of what that figure is. It's 300 plus the interest component, for example, right? I mean, that's the only way, unless you think of another, I don't think of another way to do it.
Yeah, the manager is better served to
Okay.
answer that. Well, I will say the $5 million project is probably a couple-year project, the permanent solution. The
Yep.
$3 million might easily taken in a year, so you wouldn't have that multiple years of borrowing involved. I think that be closer to a year for the 3 million, probably two, definitely 2 for the 5 million. And then how they work it out, that's, that's,
Yeah, okay,
Something
yeah, no, I
financial.
thought maybe, yeah, there's, I'm sure you have FinCom people who analyze all that too, as well as your own staff, yeah. So, so the five, so again, I guess, and the other thing would be, the two towns that kind of coordinate, I mean, it would take, Walpole has to approve and build a pumping station to be able to hook up to something at the same time. You know, you're gonna provide the water, you know, at a date when you're ready on your side. So it's probably some coordination on that fashion too.
there would be, just like Sharon, we did our water project, brought it right to the Sharon Norwood line, and,
Were you ready before they were, because they had to
Yeah.
build a pump station?
correct, we were finished before them.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think this would work the same way. That Norwood would do their infrastructure improvements, and the pump station would be sometime after.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, that's been very informative, and I, you know, appreciate that. I guess, anybody, any other thoughts? Okay, Mark, we really, it was good to see you, by the way. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Welcome
it's
back
great to
home.
see everyone. Yeah, with this detour out here, I go back to the memory banks how to get in.
You know, you guys are doing some damage on Washington Street yourselves.
Oh, come on. Have a good night, everyone.
Okay, thank you so
Good
much.
night.
Appreciate it. That was good. Thank you. Okay, so, let's see, Mr. Petrosi, 7:15. Okay, so what do you want to do, the superintendent's report?
No, we want to do the minutes before we move on to.
Well, we can. All right, we've got September 9th minutes. Any comments on those?
Yeah, so it's only on the page 3, regarding the Jarvis Farm application. It's not the $350, it's $350,000 per year.
Is that in the,
In the page 3.
oh, up, I see,
first-
up at the top,
first- yeah,
the first
page.
paragraph?
Yeah. So the last line. Yeah, $350,000 per year. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, a motion to accept the minutes? Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Jeff?
Abstain.
Okay.
I abstained also. I wasn't there either.
Okay, so it's 302. Thank you.
It looks like that. I was there.
Okay,
Who can vouch for that, Pradeep?
now the superintendent's report, which we have a copy on your table.
So, it's been a while since we last met. We only had a few leaks. Jarvis Farm, some minor leaks been repaired. And that line is actually off now for the season, along with other seasonal properties. Had a water main break on MWRA Street, the circle crack on the 8-inch line. Minor service leak on Alton Street. In fact, if you want to know where it's at, it was at the corporation. And we leak at Washington Street, 1687. We ended up renewing that one because the copper was in such deteriorated condition. The redundant line of central storage has been installed and pressure treated in its entirety. One segment out of 3 has been chlorinated. We're gonna chlorinate, attempt to chlorinate the last one was tomorrow. Get the fencing at the tank site up, and the area's being cleaned up. We've begun our annual flushing, actually earlier to
Excuse me, where does that redundant line run?
from central storage, so it runs from the central storage tanks down at Washington Street, down
cross-country or on the?
No, on streets, Baker Street, all, and it goes the back lane.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So, hydrant flushing's in progress. We've got all the main streets done, Main Street, Washington Street, Common Street, Red Lane. We've got most of the Old Post Road zone done, and we're moving down into the East Walpole, which is the central zone. It's been another 3 years since our last lead copper testing, so the triangle lead copper has been completed and submitted to DEP. We didn't have any exceedance for that or copper. The new South Street PIV is into service. When we replaced the water line on South Street, there was a check valve in the line that, we knew there was something there, didn't know quite where it was. But we had to separate the two zones, so we installed a pressure relief valve in our line last week, and it's working out. Same issue, the MTUs on the old system as usual, there's nothing new about that. The new system is up to 377 installs, and has 100% reads, no missed reads on that one. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, one question, the new water meter 377, what's the monthly average, like how much you installing every month?
Well, actually, we're replacing them as needed,
So there's no monthly target to install new one?
there's no target, it's just our routine replacement
Okay,
at this point.
okay.
So we're not using the old system, we've moved on to this system,
Mhm.
and it's performing very well.
Okay.
So if I could, while we're on that, is the board comfortable with moving forward with the current system that we've done the enhanced piloting on?
Yeah, the Styles meters?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Styles meters with the Beacon software. Because if you are, we'll start assembling the bid package in preparation of next year's capital budget. It's gonna be an expensive proposition. All in, it's probably like $2.8 to $3 million. So we just need to know if the board is comfortable. I think you've seen at least 2 demonstrations on it. It's a very good system. I haven't seen anything out there that rivals it for dependability and accuracy. Scott and Steve, if you guys want to chime in, I like the system. It's very expensive. It also comes along with an annual fee or a monthly fee, however we're billed for the cell networks.
What Rick is saying, it has been demonstrated a couple times, it's been performing very well, in the time that we've spent months now. It has no misreads, it has a lot of features that we don't have in the other system as far as, basically getting a feel for what the system's doing.
Is the 2.8 all in?
2.8 is all in. Now, that number could be reduced somewhat depending on how we approach the contract. Whether it's a complete contract operation or if it's a hybrid of us doing some of the installs along with the contractor or us doing all of the installs. Now, the last time around, we did all of the installs
Yeah.
in-house.
Yeah.
How long will it take either way? Whether they do them all, we do them all? Do we have an idea? Are we
It'd
talking
be-
2 years, 5 years?
It'd be much quicker, I would say probably within 2 years if somebody else did it. The biggest thing is scheduling.
Right.
So if you hire a contractor, they handle all the scheduling. Nothing goes through the office. It's just strictly one-on-one with the contractor or whoever they hire to do the scheduling and the homeowner.
My other question is, right now, what is, and I should talk to Derek and the staff there, but since we have 2 systems right now, what is involved in coming up so we have one water bill coming, that goes to,
So that's already happening. We're tying the billing system through Munis
right?
with the Beacon software, and there are other systems out there that have already done this. At least
So are they feeding just like the old system feeds, so now they have 2, no manual effort involved, or is there manual effort involved?
yeah, there's a file generated from Beacon
Right,
that is imported into Munis.
okay, so
You
the,
get everything.
so there's no extra manual effort?
No,
Okay,
Because we paid for an integration.
yeah, okay,
that's already been done.
Yeah. So that was the $10,000 bill.
yeah.
So we're well on our way to utilizing the system fully if we get the capital funding. And a blessing from the board to go ahead and go in that direction.
Are you asking for a vote tonight?
Is there a?
No, we need to make sure that we don't continue to put these in and then back out of it later. We don't wanna get to a point, Jeff, where we have 1,000 units in and say, oh, we're gonna go with the differences.
Well, right now, we have about 4% of the customer base,
Right.
based on my arithmetic.
Because what we'll do is if we're committed to this system, we'll continue to do what we're doing. As we replace them, we'll use the particular endpoints and the meters.
Is there a long-term economic argument or savings, manpower reduction, any kind of,
There'll be no
Benefit we
there'll
could
be no
assign
manpower
economically.
reduction on our end, you mean, John?
Yeah.
I don't see any manpower reductions, no.
No.
Because the system will still need to be maintained. I mean, you're gonna get an occasional breakdown, meters have to be replaced, endpoints, I don't know, what's the warranty on the endpoints, do you guys know?
It was
10 years.
prorate.
10 years prorate, so, it means it's nothing.
So one of the benefits would be, right now, we're struggling with a system that's obsolete and failing, and that generates more work to be done.
Yeah.
So when the system goes in, it's a cellular-based system, we're not gonna deal with the collector issues we have, and they're always going down, and paying for support for that, which can be problematic. So there is definitely a benefit as far as effort.
There is,
Yeah, but saving man-hours doesn't mean it's gonna reduce positions, but.
Right, the existing system is, what, 23, 24 years old? And it served us well for the time period that we had it. It's just old, it's outdated. And as you guys have seen through those demonstrations, they've made great strides in water metering, so.
Also increased accuracy and, well, better revenue from,
Better revenue and better accountability for the water.
the current system that we have been using has up to almost 10% of the reads you had to do something, go to find it. And the fact that we're getting 100% means we'll have a big reduction in those manual efforts that just take a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a proven system, we're not the only community that has it, and it's got a good track record.
So, I mean, I think what the board is saying is they probably would like you to work that package up for the capital budget
Okay.
proposal, yeah.
And, you know, I was here at least when the original system was proposed, and that was going to be the best system in the world. It was going to be a wonderful thing, and
it
we'd
was.
never have problems with it.
It
right?
was for 20 years.
Anyway, what I'm concerned about is that the commissioners on this particular project now be kept informed of what's going on. All the documents that are pertaining to this should be made available to us, and we should be kept apprised of everything that's happening. You know, this is the ratepayers' money, and we want to make sure it's being used the best way possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see, we have an appointment, we have the abatements, but if the board agrees, I would move Mr. Petrosi up. You willing to go early, or are you waiting? The 7:15 appointment, since last time he was here, you graciously waited, and we had a big intervening thing, and you never got to come up and talk, so I'll turn this over to Pradeep, and we'll start that appointment with Louis Petrosi on Union Square. And I'll take a little walk.
Good evening. Thank you for taking me a little earlier this time. I'm here for a couple of reasons. One is, since we last had our conversation, you know, we did move forward and we installed a new water line in Brook Lane. So what you see in the blue line is the existing water main. The pink is the new water line that we put in, and it's fully installed in our project. It's been pressure tested and chlorinated, and all the tests have passed. And we have requested that that water line be turned on. The second thing is that the reason why we went ahead and installed this water line, other than the fact that we needed to, the town asked us to get it off of Union Street because of paving that took place, is there's a hydrant. Let's see if So there's a hydrant right here off the existing water main. And the reason why we put this new water main in was to not interfere with that hydrant, because it was the only hydrant that provided fire protection to the neighborhood, to the 3 homes on Brook Lane. The problem is that we're unable to connect our sewer line to this existing sewer manhole because that hydrant is still active. We've asked for the water department to shut this main down temporarily so we can cut and cap that and remove that existing hydrant. That way we can connect our sewer line to the existing manhole. And we've already installed a new hydrant to replace this hydrant, so there would not be any deficiency in fire protection. So we had this work all scheduled to go tomorrow. And we were told that the water department was not going to cooperate with our request to shut the line down temporarily so that we could remove this hydrant. So I'm asking tonight for the board to authorize that water line to be shut down temporarily so that we can cut and cap this hydrant, remove it, and put in our sewer line. That's my first question. That's my first topic.
Well, okay. What was the reason why the town said that they couldn't do that, what you wanted? What was the town's reason?
They're saying that I need to connect the services in for the existing homes on Brook Lane. That was the reason.
What was the reason why the town didn't,
That's the reason.
what, I don't understand.
Why don't we
Well,
start to,
I can't make it any clearer. So, we put in this new water line, and one of the things that was in, let's call it a condition, was that we reconnect these water services to the new water main, okay? Doesn't say when we're supposed to do it or whatever this, it's not on our schedule for us, for our work schedule to do it. We're concerned about getting this work off of the roadway and paving our development.
So
That's
to
the
answer
only
your
reason.
question, Patrick,
That's the only reason.
The water services have not been connected over to the new line. It's our normal practice to move all the services over to the new water main and then replace the hydrants after. We did just recently on another project, the water main replacement project. It was just completed. That's the normal water
Well,
operation.
You know, Mr. Petrosi, we're the Sewer and Water Commission. We're not the engineers, we're not the people who actually know about hydrostatic pressures and whatever. So if the town thinks that you shouldn't do this, why are you coming to us?
Well, this just came up today. I'm coming to you tonight for a couple of things, and this is the first thing.
Okay, this
And-
one,
and-
I'd like to hear, more about,
So the problem is that we put this water line in, it's been pressure tested, chlorinated, and tested, and it's passed. There's no requirement that we can't have two water lines in that street. They may, quite honestly, the rules are being made up as they go because they don't like the plans that we have versus the plans that the town has, okay?
Yep, but there's a reason why they don't like
There's a,
the
yeah,
plans, isn't there?
they approved it. What do you mean? The town engineer and everybody approved this plan. This is not something that was dreamt up. We're entitled to access to the water main that we put in. If you're gonna deny us access for something that is supposedly your procedure, it's not written anywhere, it's not in a policy, it's not in a rule or regulation, I don't wanna get into the legalities of it. We just want,
You have any question?
we just want to connect into we want our line activated, we want to be able to remove the existing hydrant. And then, if time permits, then we'll talk about connecting the services at some other date.
Scott, so you want to shut down the existing line?
Correct.
Does that mean that the 3 homes will not have water for whatever the length of period? Is that one of the considerations?
If you were to shut it down, they would not have water for that connection. But,
No,
what's being asked is nothing different from what we do with.
No, I understand, I just wanted to, because that's what it's, when I was thinking, well, that's one thing, however long that is, and I agree that the process that we follow on all the others is we connect our services to the new line and then we abandon the old.
Correct.
So, I mean, it is.
So if you're talking about a connection, fine, we'll make the connection while we're doing this work. The problem is that we're being told that we need to replace the whole service all the way across the cul-de-sac, 100 feet or 60 feet, and that's our objection. Not only that, but town can't even tell us where the water services are. This is not a game to us. It costs money. And so it's okay when you're bidding out a town project, to insist that the bidder or whoever wins the bid to do your whatever process you're gonna do, but we paid for this. I paid for this. I didn't have to do it. I came here 3 different times. This board expressed favorability to waiving sewer and connection fees in exchange for this work. Okay, and now you're pigeonholing me to not be able to operate my own water main.
As far as the distance of the services are gonna be all different lengths, but it makes the most sense to replace the water service at the time you put a new water main in, and not leave something old in the ground.
Well, we're not prepared to do that at this time, but we want to connect our sewer in. So, you work with us, we're working with you.
You can go ahead and put the
So-
sewer in, Lou.
So,
You can do that tomorrow.
Excuse me, please,
You can do it tomorrow, Lou.
please,
Then,
please.
I have a question, like, the water is different issue, sewer is there any other way to connect the sewer line, like without cutting?
Yeah, we could have done that originally, but this is the way the town wanted us to do it, so that we would put the water main in first and not disrupt the service. This is the town.
No,
The town requested this, the town engineer requested this.
I don't understand,
You don't?
I'm talking about 2 different things. I'm not talking about water connection, I'm talking about sewer connection. What are the second option you have to connect your sewer line without cutting the
Well,
first
our
line?
option would have been to put another manhole here and just go straight out,
Okay,
okay?
so that's, you have that option or you don't
Well,
have?
that was our option before. The town
Okay.
wanted us to put the water line in, and they said, this is a better way. So now we've already given the town what they wanted, and now you won't give us back what we want in exchange. That's not fair. Totally not fair.
So what you're looking is the sewer connection, not the water connection, to be more?
I'm looking for us to be able to cut and cap this hydrant and connect our sewer to the existing sewer manhole. fairly simple. I didn't even have to put in this water main. I could have put the sewer manhole in right there and connected right in. The more you try to cooperate in Walpole, the worse it gets. Not to mention the fact, now we'll get on to my other thing, this board voted that they were favorably inclined to waive the sewer and water fees in exchange for this water main going in. I don't want to get in litigation, but I will if I have to. It's on videotape. It's there on the record. If you don't want to help me, well, please.
No, I think the timing, what you're asking is like, today you're coming with the whole proposal and asking that you get a permission to do some work tomorrow.
Well,
That's not possible anyway. It doesn't, yeah.
We had scheduled it for tomorrow because our contact with the water department said, this is what we need to do. We need to notify the homeowners. Water is shut down between 8 o'clock and 2 o'clock. We're not talking about it in a lengthy period of time. It's probably less than that. And obviously, we can't do it tomorrow because we need to go through the procedure of notifying the homeowners and putting everything on notice and scheduling the work. I don't even know if I can get my guys back to do the work.
Yeah, so the whole, your option to change the sewer line needs to be first understood by us before we can say, oh, you know, this can be done or not done, or what time frame is needed. So we need to get that inputs from all the department heads before we can say yes. So you can't say it in the meeting here. What you presented here is an option which is on your timeline.
No, it's not on my timeline.
Yeah.
It's not on my time. This has been in the works for months.
But
Okay?
we know it
The town
today.
came to me and forced me to do this work because you had a paving schedule that you wanted to have the road paved. So we did our work, we did our good faith gesture, and we got those connections off of Union Street so that you can pave the road.
Okay.
Now we did that work and we even completed the water main and you're still jamming it to us. What kind of operation is this?
If I could,
Sure.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
the only thing that we're asking,
Use the mic, will you please?
the only thing that we are asking is that he complete the water project before we do the cut and cap. Simple. That, by completing, it means the installation of the services. That's it.
Why is that a problem, Mr. Petrosi?
Well, do you have the extra money to pay for that? Why is it always coming out of my pocket? If this were a simple sewer, water connection to like 20 feet away, that's one thing. Why am I going 60 or 70 feet away to a curb box on a cul-de-sac when you already had a very good service there? Why can't we just connect to the existing, to the new water main? It's already a benefit to them. They're going from asbestos concrete pipe to a new 8-inch water main. You don't think that's a benefit? You gotta have it all? Come on, this is ridiculous. The town can do whatever they want because they think they hold the strings. You cause me financial harm, there'll be, there'll be something to say about it.
Yeah, I want to say one statement here. The documents what we received is only talking about the proposed plan. It's not talking about any water connection or sewer connection. I don't think this was given to us in advance to discuss on this agenda. And if you need to discuss this topic, a water connection topic and sewer connection topic, it's not in this agenda. Look, I have the whole letter. It does not say.
I have letters here, and I have minutes of meetings, and I have video.
Which is fine, but what you're presenting us and asking us to make a decision has nothing to do with what is given to us.
What was that? What's that? What are you looking at?
It's appointment, 715 appointment, and it's just to discuss your permit.
With Pinnacle point, right.
No, I'm
It's
not,
715, isn't it?
that's not true, that's not true.
Which one is it?
It was for both projects.
Yeah, so-
Pinnacle was already on your agenda.
Yeah, so that particular request, what you're making here through visual or, it's not on agenda for us to,
Listen, I was here 2 months ago, I was on the agenda, you didn't have the courtesy to hear me, okay? I had to sit behind this presentation on water meters, okay? Now you're telling me that I'm not on the agenda, I can tell you specifically through my emails that I'm on the agenda to discuss this project.
you are there to discuss this project, but look at the document, it says that Pinnacle Point.
Talk to your secretary.
Yeah.
It's on the,
Please.
it's on the agenda on the, where it says, Union Square Village and Pinnacle Point. That's the only
Okay,
thing.
what does the Union Square Village mean?
This-
This
Like-
is Union,
This is the
this is
project,
Union
Union
Square
Square.
Village.
Yeah, so if you think this was an urgent matter, the presentation should have given to us.
No, that's not the way it works.
No, it's not an open forum just for us to come as a volunteer and look at,
So what are you trying to tell me? You're not gonna take any action?
So if-
not on this matter,
If I
please.
can-
I want to stop the discussion
Town
here.
has
Yeah.
absolutely no objection to shutting the line down to allow Mr. Petrosi to do his cut and cap, provided that the project is complete. I just want to make that clear. There's no objection to doing it, but we want the project completed before we do the cut and cap.
And do board agree with that, the DPW chief here, superintendent here?
And how are they going to, the connections for the homes?
That's the bone of contention. As I said earlier, the town thinks it's to our expense that we need to connect these services 60 feet away to the existing.
Yeah, no,
Box.
I understand. I'm
Okay.
just thinking in all the projects that we
I believe
do,
that part of the bond that was posted included the replacement of the services.
Right, but it didn't say when.
The bond requires replacement of the service.
Doesn't say when.
The bond requires replacement of the service.
Okay, well, you have the bond for a couple of years. Quite frankly, you know, you can get bullied around so much, okay? I don't like bullies.
We're not looking to bully anybody.
You're bullying.
We're looking to protect the best interest of the town.
Yeah, by me paying for $100,000 to put a water main in that you guys didn't want to do yourselves. Please,
Yeah.
you're bullying us around, it's getting old. Bully some more, and get what you paid for.
Thank you for your time. We will close this argument. I don't think this was in our agenda properly, and we can't discuss
When's your
it.
next meeting? Let's post it properly right now. When's your next meeting?
November 18th?
I think that's it.
I think it's the week before Thanksgiving.
It's on the bond
agenda, November 18th.
November 18th.
Yeah, so let's, can I be on the agenda for November 18th? I want to talk about the water line, the cost, the waiver of the fees, and who's going to pay us,
For
reimburse us.
Terry, got all those?
Union Square Village.
I do have one question for you, though. This was originally 40 townhouses.
No, that's
No, no.
that's wrong. That's what I got
That's the
confused.
Pinnacle.
Yeah.
Pinnacle.
That's what I confused. That's what-
And
yeah.
that's why I was curious why it's changed around.
It's not changed around, it's two different projects.
Yeah.
So can I ask, is Union Village or whatever it's referred to now an approved project?
Very
Union
much.
Square Village.
Brooklyn project.
What? It's approved by planning, zoning, everybody?
It's under site plan review right now.
So it's not approved?
You can call it whatever you want.
Is it approved or not?
It's approved under a 40B project.
But it's not a 40B anymore, is it?
We haven't made that decision.
So it's not approved.
All depends. Rick, what's your problem?
I don't have.
You have a friggin' problem.
Lou, I'm here to protect the interest.
He's out of
You are
order.
not, you are a bully.
He's out of order.
Yeah.
We finished
If
this,
you stand that
please.
here, You can tell me what to do.
Mr. Petrosi, order,
Take
please.
care of it.
Please. we have closed
So
the
you're not
discussion.
gonna allow me to connect into the water?
This
You're not
has
gonna
to,
turn my water main on?
this has to become in the agenda properly. We'll surely help you.
I just wanna get it on the record, so you're denying me the right to turn on the water line that I put in to service my project, is that what you're telling me right now?
Which project you are talking? There's a
My
Union,
main project.
Which
Union
one?
Square.
Union Square
Yeah,
Village.
you're denying me access to the public water that I put in the ground.
No,
Yes, you are.
no, we are not.
Then allow me to turn the water on then.
Please, it's finished.
Allow,
The discussion is over, please.
it's not over.
It's an order, please.
Okay, well, it goes on, comes on. We'll see.
So next on agenda is.
Are you going to talk on Pinnacle Point?
We closed it, but we're done.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get back that chair. You, we're done with the 7:15 appointment. I think we have 7:45 and the abatements left.
Okay. All right, so we have Scott Rogers. The Jiten Hotel representative.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Scott Rogers from Jiten Home Engineering. I'd like to first start off by apologizing for not meeting with you guys earlier, this commission earlier. We did have several meetings with other town departments and boards and commissions. So this project is what we're calling Phase 2. It's a 119-room Avid Hotel with 123 parking spaces. It's adjacent to the existing Home 2 suites on Route 1. This project was approved back in 2016. Phase 2 was approved for a retail plaza. So we've decided to change that to a hotel. Weston and Sampson did a sewer study. We studied about 17,000 linear feet of sewer line in Walpole. This particular hotel would have a sewer flow by Title V standards about 13,000 gallons per day. They also did TV inspections of about 16,000 linear feet of sewer line back in 2018 and finished it about April of 2022. They also did sewer manhole inspections. And generally, the report says that the pipeline condition is generally good. They also did a pipe analysis of those many linear feet of sewer line. They also did TV inspections, and when they did those TV inspections, they discovered that the pipes were generally less than 50% full, and there was no evidence of surcharge in those pipes. So they categorized it as the hydraulic capacity was generally high and consistent. So you can see on the plan, we have the hotel back here. parking lot in the front, that 123 spaces. The site generally slopes from bottom right of the plan. Generally in this direction down this road. As far as utilities, as far as grading and ramp, start with. So we are proposing two specifically underground infiltration chambers. One will basically handle small parking area back here and the building roof runoff. There's another larger one to basically handle the main parking area. And then in the front of the site, we have a fire retention area located in this area, 74 bed as well. As far as proposed utilities, we are proposing obviously a water line to that phase 2 hotel. We do have to relocate the water line for phase 1 because it's unfortunately running through the footprint of the building. So we will relocating that water line. And we are proposing sewer line connection. The sewer line runs basically north up towards Jason's path. We met with the town engineer several times, mostly about drainage, but also about site plan review and utilities. He made some comments. We made some revisions to the plan based on that. One of the things he asked us to do is to put in a grease trap. You should note though, this hotel has no restaurant. Basically, as far as food, it's like continental breakfast. There's, you know, muffins, English muffins, bagels, things like that, but there's no food prep, there's no restaurant to speak of. So we were asked to put in a grease trap and we decided we'd go ahead and do that. We just received last week from Conservation Commission our land disturbance permit, so that's been achieved. Carl, we also were at one planning board hearing this month. Carl Bolduff, the town engineer, submitted a letter to the planning board with, I would call them minor comments and cleanup comments, nothing earth-shattering on that. So we're going through the process of revising those plans right now, and we'll meet back with the planning board in December. So with that, I'd like to answer any questions you may have.
Bill?
Is this going to be two separate businesses, or is it one business that just happens to have two buildings?
It's owned by the same person. It'll probably be under a separate LLC. And we also went through the planning board process of creating two separate lots. But they're different branded hotels.
So you'll have a separate water account, separate sewer account?
I believe we will.
This is the vacant land next to Prestige Gas, right? Yeah, okay.
Where does the sewer line, when you say goes north, what? Where's your easement?
I'm sorry?
How do you get to a public way?
The sewer line actually runs through private property. I believe it's property owned by the town. There's that school back here. And I believe it runs in northerly direction towards Jason Path.
So you have an easement from the town for that sewer line?
Yes, we've already connected phase 1 into that.
It's an existing.
So when you said you did all these sewer studies, where were the studies done? On Washington Street or?
The sewer studies were done in 3 different precincts. I believe it was precinct 13, precinct 6, and precinct 12. Weston and Sampson did a sewer study for us.
Well, it doesn't mean much. I mean, were they adjacent to this site? I mean,
Scott, you can answer that.
Yeah, there's an existing sewer that goes through the town property down Jason's path, and the exact length that Weston Sampson determined would be impacted, I don't know, but there was a study done.
Does the town own that sewer that goes out to, I guess, towards Washington
Yes.
Street? Okay.
you own the sewer from the other hotel?
No. Nothing connected.
You own
We
the,
own the main line that it's connected to.
and you own the easement
Yes,
that it's in?
yes.
So these have,
But I'm just
I don't know if
wondering-
we own it, John, or if we just have an easement.
It shows the flow, and it shows it as Walpole Land.
Goes down Mason's Path, down 123 Georgia Drive,
So,
out
yeah,
to South Street.
Yeah, but it doesn't say what, there's nothing there. It says, it indicates it goes to the school, basically.
The report should have been on the agenda, along with this one.
Because, I mean, when they say they did sewer studies, I would think it would be in the neighborhood, in the area where you're doing this.
It was. They segmented John all the way from the proposed connection site all the way to, I believe, South Street, to the interstate.
Okay.
We actually provided the scope of what was in the project. So whether we wanted this particular area study for capacity, and that was funded by these folks.
Okay. Was there a big study done for the multifamily development down there as well?
Now where?
At 55
Yes,
Summer Street.
yes,
So that interfaces with this?
yes.
Okay.
So is there some board looking for our comments, the planning board, the zoning, or?
You request, this board requested it.
Oh, okay. So you've gotten all your other approvals, or where does this stand?
So we have our approval, our land disturbance permit from Conservation Commission.
Okay,
And we are working with the planning board and Carl Bolduff, the town engineer, to get to the planning board level. We hope to be approved in December.
all right, so I think we would be expecting the planning board to get our comments. So I would think that it would be appropriate for us, if we have any questions, so that we'll be able to answer when I expect the planning board to come and ask for our comments. Do we have any comments based on what we've seen?
What part of the aquifer is this in?
I think it would be in
What
area
area?
3.
Area 3.
Area 3? You know, you have that parking lot there, and you're going to have to keep it kind of free with ice control. You're going to use, how are you going to keep it clean? What type of chemicals are you going to use on the driveway there? They're going to be salted or?
Mostly sand and calcium chloride, normal stuff that's used by every person in New England.
That's just, you know, I'm just curious because, you know, it is a part of the aquifer at least.
Right.
Okay, but thank you.
So,
Just for the record, we've worked with Carl Bolduff for months now on the drainage system itself. There is, you know, not only facilities to handle stormwater quantity, you know, infiltration basins themselves, but also stormwater quality. Then we have water quality tanks. We have deep sunk catch basins. We have an O&M plan. So generally, Carl's been pretty, after many meetings, has been pretty happy with what we've done.
basically, one of the issues today in general is the fear in communities that new hotels will be used for illegal migrants. And the communities typically aren't that favorable to facilitating that kind of dimension to their structure. So who's the intended customer for this hotel?
I can tell you that that particular comment came up, we had a meeting in July with staff comments. Rick was there, the town planner was no town planner right now, but there were several people, fire department, board of health, all kinds of people at that meeting. That particular question was brought up, and I can tell you that our client, Jiten Hotel, has no intention of having that happen. Frankly, the money that you get from that is not gonna outweigh the fact that you need to renovate that hotel for hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, 3 or 5 years later. So he could back that statement up, but we've had that conversation before with other town officials.
Do you own other hotels in Massachusetts?
Yes, we own other hotels in Massachusetts, and all the way down to Florida. You know, you are correct. I mean, the migrant and housing has become very big thing here in Massachusetts. I can tell you this, I mean, the cost of construction and the interest carry these days and what we have to borrow now to get something like this done, it doesn't substantiate for us to actually put migrant housing into a property like this. We would, whatever we would receive in, you know, from the state to house migrants, we wouldn't be enough to repair this property once housing business moved out. Hotels in general aren't built to house, you know, they're built more towards shorter term stays. This one in particular will be around a 1 to 2 night stay average. That's the model. It's part of an intercontinental hotel.
So it doesn't have kitchens in it?
It does not have kitchens in it. It's a smaller room size, so the room size is generally around 250 square feet. Where opposed to the home 2, the room size is larger. And the home 2 is more for an extended stay base. We found that in this particular location, we do a lot more, you know, 2 to 3 night stays, mostly because we're dealing with more so events over at Gillette, hockey tournaments, and you know, anything else that really comes into the area. And we get a lot of wedding groups. This hotel in particular will be more so, again, 1 to 2 night stay average. You know, most of the programming will be people spending their time in the public space, which is the lobby. So there'll be more tables and soft seating in the lobby area. And the rooms are more so, you know, 1 or 2 travelers. You're not gonna, you know, I wouldn't take my whole family and stay here for a week. You just, there's not enough space and not enough storage space in these types of rooms.
Is there a restaurant in the property?
It's just breakfast, so it's a very minimal breakfast program. Like Scott mentioned, kind of a continental breakfast, muffins, bagels, things of that nature.
There's that much demand for hotel on that little strip of Route 1? I mean, there's, up by Applebee's, there's another hotel, and just beyond Applebee's, there's already a hotel there, and I'm just surprised that there's that much
We were
demand.
surprised too. I mean, like, when we originally approved the project, it was for 1 hotel and retail building. I believe it was 10,000 square foot retail building. What we found was when we were doing market studies on the retail building was that, you know, there was a lot of vacancies up and down Route 1, so we wouldn't be able to make sense of building it, and you know, the leasing was very difficult. And not to mention, once you know, the pandemic happened, a lot of retailers had a lot of vacancies that were already open and operating around up and down Route 1. You know, we've been fairly busy at the home 2, and we feel like, you know, a product like this would complement the hotel very well. There are more and more events happening, a lot more than we had expected before. And again, not only is it, you know, events, there's also tournaments, a lot of families coming into town with their kids. Hockey is big around here, and we've been getting a lot of hockey groups, and people driving from, you know, hours away. We've been seeing it, and it's great for us. And you know, if you ever check the rates of the properties around Gillette, I mean, you know, the Renaissance, the Hilton Garden Inn, they're astronomical. And you know, we offer, you know, a bit of relief from those higher rates. And so, you know, it all goes according to the target consumer. And you know, some people don't have $1,000 to pay for a night at, you know, at the Renaissance at Gillette, or $1,500 at the Hilton Garden Inn. And
Well, I'm sure you're not putting it up without the
Oh, yeah.
expectation that there are. I'm just surprised that there is that demand, but
Yeah,
I'm sure you're not spending all this money unless you believe that there is. So that was just my comment. I don't see that we have any comments that if the planning board, and I suspect they will, ask for our comments, that we
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to answer them at this point.
Is the other hotel have kitchens in it? The existing one?
They have, it's a home 2 concept, so what they have is a apartment-sized refrigerator, there's a dishwasher, microwave, and then we have hot plates, which, you know, rarely get rented out, and we have the grills out.
No restaurant, right?
No restaurant.
You know, my concern, of course, is the grease traps, because that can be a gigantic problem. they call them fatbergs. So that's why I'm talking about that. Do we require a grease trap on the outlet of these properties before it goes into the town sewer?
I do not believe, given the proposed occupancy, that a grease trap would be required, an external grease trap would be required, because of the lack of patient facilities.
For the record, Carl Holduff did ask us to put a grease trap in. and
Part of the plan,
we
though.
Agreed to do that.
There you go.
I convinced him we don't have a restaurant, it's not necessary, but he asked for it, and we decided to do it, so.
I know you're only having breakfast, but, you know, you're still,
They're gonna have the grease trap, Pat.
Yeah, I
Even though
know.
they don't need it, they're
I
gonna
know.
have it there, so.
well, I think the plumbing code requires it anyway on your sinks.
What form of construction? Is this brick or masonry, or is it wood frame, or what?
We'd be looking to do wood frame.
Wood frame? Okay. Any other questions? All
I'm
right.
set.
Okay, thank you for coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you.
So what's the intended construction time on this, if you get approval? You're gonna do it in the spring?
I think they'd like to start potentially, in January, if the weather permits, start before.
As long as weather permits, we'd love to get in the ground around Q1, early Q1 of
Yep.
2025. Our goal is to try to move quick on the project, try to be open for the World Cup. It's just free marketing for us. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of traffic. I mean, I'm sure you guys will all see it here in town too. There's gonna be a lot of traffic in the area. So it's a quick way to get our name out, opposed to missing that window.
Where's your office located? Are you in Boston or
Our office is in Brockton.
Brockton? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we can go, you want to go to abatements now?
Yeah.
Let's finish the deal.
So, Mr. Chairman, this first one was Connery Road, where they were told they needed to replace the gas meter and gas line. It was nothing to do with the town. They were told they needed to water a certain amount, which they did. And for that period, they used about 800 cubic feet more than normal. However, the water was used, and they were going to meet that, it was used for irrigation, but it did not go into the sewer.
Okay. Anybody have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I do. I understand what happened here, and if Eversource, is trying to replace the lawn, Eversource should have called us and said that we need a waiver or something. Because you have these people who are doing this basic work, and we wind up solving their problems. And this is not our problem, really. And I understand that she's coming to us because, she wants the abatement. But it seems to me that, she should be reimbursed for all the damages and the consequences that were caused by Eversource.
I would agree.
You know what I mean?
They caused so it's not, oh, I gotta replace a, $30 sprinkler head. They caused a lot of extra water used, then it's part of the damages, and it's Eversource, or whether the contractor that Eversource.
So
I don't
my
see-
suggestion would be that she contact Eversource and say, listen, you caused all this damage, basically. I want to be reimbursed. I have a water bill that's a huge amount, and I want to be reimbursed for that.
Yeah.
And I think that they should pay for it, because they're the ones who did the disturbance. And then if that doesn't work, she can come to us and maybe we can help her, maybe not.
Go to court. It's, I see nothing other than if they wished an abatement on a sewer charge, which is standard that we've done, but as far as the water cost,
That's
the
what-
party that damaged the thing, it's not just the cost of a $30 sprinkler and, you know, spreading some grass seed.
Is
They
this-
also,
I think the sprinkler one is next, coming down.
yeah,
This one
Gas
isn't
line replacement,
sprinklers yet.
Did you do the calculation on the sewer abatement side?
800 cubic feet, I have to do the actual dollar amount, but 800 cubic feet in excess of what they normally use.
In excess.
You know, we can, I would deny this for the time being.
well, we could either deny it or just say.
I give them relief on the
Bring it
sewer.
back.
It's what Jeff's stating, the abatement for the sewer costs, that's it. Any extra expenses, go back to, you know, the contractor.
Anything that.
Do we know how much the sewer expenses will
Well,
be?
Scott just told what it is.
How much?
800 cubic feet.
How much does that cost, though?
Well, the sewer rate is what, 112 per thousand? So it's,
$100?
yeah, it's not even 100, well, yeah, it's,
What,
no, it's
somewhere around
100 per thousand, and it's only 800 cubic feet, it's 8/10 of that.
Yeah.
It's not,
The resident is looking for a reduction in the bill. And based on past practice, sewer is usually abated if it did not come into the sewer system.
right, so that's all I think
that your motion?
we do, and if there's any other damages, she can go to Eversource, the contractor, whomever, but
It's the
it's,
same situation with a neighbor that has a dried out lawn because they didn't water.
right, well,
They get an abatement?
You're making a motion.
I'll make a motion that we abate the sewer charge for the excess water, which has been our standard practice.
To how much?
We'll let them figure, the office figures it out all the time.
I'm not voting on it unless I know how much.
It's 800 cubic feet times the current
I
rate.
can't hear, what?
800 cubic feet of water times the current rate.
Which is, I think, $112 per thousand cubic feet, so 0.8 of that amount.
Yeah, I guess my thought though, Bill, on that is, I mean, like, I had to replant my lawn because I honored the watering ban and lost my grass. But I don't expect, I know that I'm watering the grass seed now, I don't expect to be reimbursed and not pay my sewer
This is
rate
the
on the
excess
water.
water that was a result of the.
But you're
this
abating the
damage.
sewer charge, aren't
Just
you?
the sewer charges.
Only, it's
Well-
not the entire, it's not our entire sewer charge for the quarter. It's the amount of water that's used in excess, which went onto the ground to irrigate instead of going to the sewer, and then we pay for it.
Yeah.
She's only looking for what did not go to the sewer.
Right, but anybody who doesn't have a second meter pays for that all the time.
Well, that's a good point. Do they have a second meter? And so this water just went out onto the street, if I,
Onto the lawn.
What's a lawn?
on a lawn, and
Oh, man. I think a claim is with, like you said, with the Eversource primarily. You should charge them for the full thing, for the water and the sewer charge.
and I'll take my motion back now that I'm thinking about it. It should go to, any damages that were done should go back to the party that caused the problem, which was Eversource and their contract. I was thinking that it just, you know, it was like they cut a water line right near the street, and it was just pouring out onto the street, but,
Well, they damaged the lawn.
yeah,
Required it to be irrigated,
right.
the grass to grow. It had nothing to do with the damage in the irrigation system.
Well, they damaged something that they,
Just the lawn.
Or the person just asked for a supplement to the adjustment and include the amount of water and sewer charge that was related to them having to replace the lawn, I would think. Maybe that's hard to do, I don't know.
Yes, I was just reading where it was irrigation repair. That's where I was assuming.
We're
that-
on abatement number 1, right?
And, yes, we are.
Yeah.
So I'm,
But where's the irrigation here?
it's in the second paragraph in the next page. Irrigation repair.
Second paragraph, the name of the thing.
The name of the landscaping company is Smirt's Landscaping, phone number, whatever, the
Yeah.
flyer, et cetera. It included the destruction, including lawn repair, plant shrub replacement, mulch replacement, and irrigation repair. Now,
Yeah.
I may incorrectly assume that there was damage to the irrigation system, water, ended up not being used as normally, and so they used an excessive amount, is that was
How did they damage the irrigation?
You cut the pipe.
Well, it doesn't say that.
No, it does, well, it said,
I don't-
I'm
did
just
they-
telling you how
Did
I
they rip
interpreted
it out,
it.
or-
I'm now convinced that maybe,
Eversource ran a gas line to replace the meter. They went across the lawn to do that, damaged the lawn, shrubbery, plant things. If there was irrigation system there, damaged, they tried to repair it because they went through it. And it wasn't that it was leaking. She was told to use the water a certain amount of times a day, 3 times a day, frequently, which is what she did. So she was using the water as she was told.
So you
by-
doing irrigation?
She used the irrigation system to use water.
So somebody repair the irrigation system?
No.
In her letter, she says the irrigation system was repaired.
Well, if she was told to water 3 times a day, did she go with a hand sprinkler and do it, or did she turn on the irrigation?
she could not do it 3 times a day within our policy, unless it was in May or September.
Well, Eversource should have asked for a waiver from us, for her.
So there's offsetting penalties.
Suspected spam, he's calling now.
So anyway, I think but that's part of the remedy. I mean, if she doesn't get any response from Eversource, that's another deal. But I think you just has to ask for amendment to the adjustment that they didn't account for the fact that the additional water and the water being charged to her sewer bill, because she doesn't have a second meter, but she has an irrigation system, cost X, and that, she wasn't reimbursed for that.
Yeah.
I mean, or he, or the customer. If they don't get any relief, that's a different story, but I mean, I think everybody, I mean, if, instead of doing 3 times, she did it 1 time, it'd be the normal use. So should we abate her for that too?
No,
No, I mean,
no.
that's what I say.
Because I'm pulling my motion back.
Okay. How about abatement number 2, Smith Avenue?
Right, number 2.
So this is the one where the water passed through the meter, and there was nothing wrong with the meter. They had some unusually high usage for a short period of time, driven leak within the house, the toilet, unknown because it corrected itself almost immediately. They hadn't paid their bill for a year, and with the collection, they were going to put a lien on it, and that's when it came to their attention. So the water went through the meter.
I would say no abatement, and what we can suggest that they sign up to get the new meter with the WaterSense smartphone application, and so that they, in the future, they could check to see any potential excess usage.
Okay.
I'll second. Did you make a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 500. Okay, and then number 3, we have
Yeah, this is
Amy
one-
Fisher.
This is where the person in the household, like the child, left a hose on, and the owner wasn't aware of it. When they found out that it took place, they decided they'd like to request an abatement for the water on the ground and not the sewer
one comment, the August 23rd usage looks out of whack too.
I included that in the 981.
You,
August 23rd, I included in the calculation.
Well, the water didn't go into the sewer.
It's a standard
It's a
abatement that we
standard,
do.
I move that we grant the abatement for, it's $194.45.
Okay, no second.
I'll second. It's a standard abatement for water that went through the meter but not into the sewer.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
can we have a discussion real quick, because
Oh, yeah.
the numbers just seem off. I'm sorry. One more time, what dates? The numbers are off.
No, that was the charge for our entire bill. That's not the 981 cubic feet. So she's not looking for, they are not looking for $194. That would be their entire bill. for that water.
No, just this sewer,
Just the excess.
the excess sewer amount is what, I believe, Patrick, that's what you were,
And what's
Looking
the
for-
excess water amount that you,
981 cubic feet. That starts from
981?
August 23rd through the 27th, before it went back to normal.
and I believe the sewer charges per 1,000 is $112. If it's a residence, it would be 85% of it, and then apply the rate of 100, I believe it's 112 at the FY '25 rate. There may be 112 and some penny, but this is something that the office does all the time, so.
One quick question. This was like happening for 4 or 5 days. The water department detected this or alerted, tried to alert the customer?
They were called, that's how she knew about it.
Oh,
First
okay,
off.
okay.
That happens frequently. The office will see something flagged in usage, and they do this every day. And they call us to see if there's anything unusual. A lot of times it's not accidental, it's intentional. It's like, well, whatever they have, but we do notify them when we see something unusual.
But during the summer, it's what, 250 cubic feet per day is where that gets triggered. In the non-summer months, it's 125. That's an awful lot of water, though. So you could go in the summertime, 240, and it doesn't get flagged.
So this abatement about be about $85 or something.
Yeah,
Take
I let the
85%
office
of
figure it
$100.
out. They do
I'll
this all
approve,
the
just
time.
redo the figures.
She wants us to be her advocate here, and that's what we don't do. If you read this, she needs to do this herself, and we can only take care of what we can take care of. So she should talk to the
You're not on the same.
contractor.
You're not on the same one, Patrick.
We're on 4.
We're on 3.
We're on 3. We've already addressed 3, I believe.
I
Did
thought
we
we got
vote
through
on
that
that?
No, we,
Mr.
this,
Chairman?
I asked for discussion.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
ready to vote on
Are you good now?
That's pro forma, the hose on.
So we're voting on 3, Patrick?
Okay, we already voted on 3.
No, we
Wasn't
didn't.
it? It was a simple hose going onto the lawn, right?
There's a discussion because of the dollar amount.
Is that true?
Yeah,
No, no.
yes.
Yeah, well,
We voted on number 2.
All
We've
right.
now gone number 3, and we haven't voted. We've agreed that it's a standard.
All in favor?
Aye.
it. Aye.
Okay, 5-0.
Now we're on a abatement for
I made the
that.
motion on that.
All right, we have number 5 here.
Number 5.
Number 4.
I got
Here
4.
we go now.
Here's the
Bramall
one-
Circle.
This is the one where a contractor employed by the town that did some damage, including the,
This is the one I'm talking about, she wants us to be her advocate.
this is not a sheet,
Huh?
this is a gentleman, one number 4.
Yeah, this is, this one here.
Right. So part of the damage was done with the irrigation system, and they're looking for $148. Their usage this period was lower than in the prior periods, it's kind of hard to compare. But it's definitely a fact where water was discharged from the system that didn't fall at all.
Scott, she's asking here, not for the $148 from us, but from Lynch.
They're not asking for an
That's what I'm
abatement.
saying, if you read this carefully, it looks like she wants us to act as her advocate.
To me, there's no abatement request on this letter, so.
And what's a Tootsie Roll? She's
When you go out trick or treating
Tootsie Roll curbing.
on Thursday night, Patrick, I'm sure you'll get a Tootsie Roll in your bag there.
Can I have it inside a lollipop?
They come in that form also, yes.
Okay, is a Tootsie Roll, whatever this is that the one that looks like a berm? Do you know what it is?
I do.
Is it the one that looks like a,
It's a bituminous
a
berm.
bituminous
It's
berm?
high, and it's like oval in shape, as opposed
On the
to
top.
Cape Cod berm that we use.
We have a machine that does that, don't we?
We do.
Yes, okay. We call them bituminous curbs.
Correct.
I never
So-
heard of Tootsie Roll.
So maybe we could ask Mr. Matz, so the J.H. Lynch was working for the DPW?
Correct, he's the paving contractor. When he was installing a handicap ramp at this particular location, they hit the irrigation line. The irrigation line has since been repaired, the loam has all been replaced, and I believe what they were looking for was payment for the water that came out of the broken irrigation system. We can certainly ask Lynch. Again, I believe we submitted the plan, and they were like, we weren't inclined to change this. It's the old irrigation system in the town layout type thing.
Oh,
But I will certainly ask Project Superintendent Lynch to see
Yeah, I
if he
mean,
can see if he can do something.
if it's a few bucks, it's worth their goodwill with the DPW for future projects, probably. Is that okay, Bill?
It's okay.
Anybody else? Okay. Now we have correspondence.
As I wrote, it was just something we had not been discussing. We've been focusing all our discussion on the location of the pump station or the route, and I just thought it would be worthwhile to see what would be affected on the rates with an MWRA connection. There's one thing, I was basing it on Jim Johnson's email where they were saying 6 million at 4% for 30 years. Mr. Ryan mentioned 5 million. The difference would be, instead of $346,981 in debt costs that we'd end up paying, it would be $889 $289,150 if it was 5 million, as opposed to the 646,981 when, based on Jim's, it was 600. So I just thought it might be of interest to note that this would be what would take the impact on the ratepayers. That basically would be looking at around a 17% increase over the FY '25 rates, which we're in FY '25 at this point. If you have any question on like the increases to the personnel and expenses, that was based on the 4 prior years, the average of the 4 prior year, their increase. That's why I came up with the 1.04%, the 1.13%, and the 1.02% for personnel expenses and indirect. Unless anybody has any questions, it's just that information that people might wish to know.
Just a comment, like this good estimate, but the MWRA connection, we have to get approval from the town hall meeting, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
before we discuss the rate and,
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking, we've been talking, 5 million for a pump station, 6 million, 8 million, whatever and this is one thing that we hadn't discussed at all. I thought, let me just figure what it would be.
This is good numbers. I think this has to be presented as part of the approval process.
Oh, yeah, and we'll be able to refine it. I mean, one of the things was that the pump station be 4,750,000. Well, I can almost guarantee, since we're not doing it today, that it will be higher than that. And the interest rates are what, I talked to the town accountant and, got what, if we were borrowing it right now, this is the rate. And it has come down from, previous attempts to me to figure the cost. So unless anybody has any questions, that was my sole purpose of doing, so we get a handle on, how it's going to affect the ratepayers. They're going to end up paying for, the whole thing, one way or the other, so.
The, one more thing, the wheeling charges, did we calculate that here?
No, because I specifically say, this assumes we did not use any water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if we do that, then what happens, in my thought, depending on how, when they come up with the expense budget, the 2 big items are electricity and chemical. If we're not using as much of our water, which the MWRA connection says you got to use your sources to the maximum, but if we aren't, then potentially we're not going to use as much water to pump water out of the ground, not going to use as much electricity to go through the treatment plant, but the pump station will use. So maybe it's a wash, I don't know, depending on which treatment plant you use, which wells you reduce the amount, it'd be very difficult to do. But in addition, you now would add in the MWRA cost, which would be 20% more than what the MWRA charges. So if I'm thinking that if we actually did this, Steve, you've mentioned that you at least want to test it periodically. Maybe you'd end up using 1 million gallons a day once a month, just to see that everything's working.
Oh, here it is.
It'd be a small amount, and if you knew you were going to do that, then maybe you would have cut the chemical costs down. Although if we had some sort of emergency and everything was all set up, then you might do it for, the length of the emergency, in which case you would start to, have to figure, yes, I've budgeted more chemicals than I need. But until you're actually making use of it every single day, it's a factor, but it's hard to guess.
Well, there's a lot of hypotheticals in the numbers, obviously.
Well, not too many. I mean, you are going to have, this, in our rates, we normally have the personnel, the expenses, the operating expenses, indirect, and you have debt. And the debt, existing debt, is the $2.4 million. That's going if we do nothing.
Are we going to hire more people? Is that
Pardon
what
me?
you're saying? Are you going to hire more people?
No, no.
Oh, wow.
So anyways,
I could argue a lot of those points. I mean, I think, just for example,
well,
in the pump station,
could I just suggest, John, that if you, rather than debating the thing, we don't have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Mine was just to give a ballpark idea of what the rate would be. If one has significant differences on it, I suggest they come up with a similar memo and say, here's what they think.
Yeah, well, the staff could do that too, but I would just say that the commission does not want to pay more than $300,000 per year to the town of Norwood for up to 25 years. Well, that's true, and that seems like that possibly could be accomplished.
Yes,
Because
at the
the
5
Norwood-
million.
Norwood has been, I had a meeting over there, the fee, the nut's been brought down to 5 million.
Right, and I
where
just,
it was.
as I
So that's
stated,
important.
that instead of the $346,981, which I list, which was based on 6 million, while we were discussing other things, I went through the calculations, in that the 5 million at that interest rate would be 289,000, which is less than the 300,000 that we were talking about, so.
I mentioned the,
And that would reduce from 17% increase to, I don't know, 16 or whatever percent.
Steve Dunner was able to find Harvard, Massachusetts pump station that was bid at 1.9 to 2.9 million instead of 4.7 million.
No, wait a minute. Our pump station was never 4.7 million. It was 2.5. So I don't know
Oh, yeah.
where that, I don't know where that 4.7 number came from, but it was always 2.5.
Well, they put it on the bottom as a total cost, because they include
Pipeline.
$1 million worth of contingencies.
Yeah, I based it on the information in Jim's document of October 4th or 8th.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, and I just want to be clear that the pump station was never 4.7. It was $2.5 million.
yeah, well, that's good. And I think, Bill, if our same engineer could build a pump station for Sharon for 1.5, I'm sure that with all the plans and everything in hand and all the studies already done, that they should be able to do pretty economically, design a pump station for us as well.
If we get a different number, I could plug it in, and I could come up with a thing, or I'm suggesting that, anybody wishes to go and do that, by all means. It's a point of information.
It's hard because you don't have a peer comparison. You're comparing it to unknowns.
Maybe I shouldn't have done it, John. I didn't see it as something that would
I would just say that
generate.
we could do this, you could do this on Minebrook 4. We could go and say, oh, at these rates, with the lines as far as it would be in the swamp, it would be $4 million for pipeline. And, I could make this look any kind of number, basically, with assumptions. I'm trying to get around those to the hard costs and then, be more accurate in our thing. I mean, I don't.
I've broken the numbers down, how I arrived
If we go out
at
to
them.
bid,
If someone says, no, I don't think we're gonna spend 1.1 million on expenses, put your own number in
Yeah, this
and go
is-
through the calculations if you want.
duly noted, Bill. I would just say, and if I did that, I would say we'd go out to bid on this, and they wouldn't expect us, on top of the contract bids that we get, if the bids are at 2.5 million, I wouldn't add another $1 million contingency on top of it.
Okay, I'll look forward to your, the equivalent of my memo, that's all.
So, I'm actually encouraged that Norwood seems to be receptive to work with us and to trying to work on the numbers to make the figures work, as far as the economics for Walpole goes. So I'm not ready to personally not ready to throw that alternative away by any means. Might have a lot to do with the election coming up, and who's gonna be running the government. So I think if you have
So in terms of that, Mr. Chairman, what is the pleasure of the board in terms of continuing on with seeking the connection, or we're looking for guidance?
Yeah.
Because quite honestly, we're lost.
And we're trying to be inclusive. Yeah, well, everybody's lost. I mean, if some people know about, I don't know exactly what testing's being done or planned to be done over here on Washington Street, and what the timing on that is, when we might have information about that. That's another thing. We have a lot of unknowns, and part of my reaching out and trying to have some additional information firsthand for the commissioners with the Norwood guy was just so they could understand their rationale for the, you know, for the figures they're giving us, and not necessarily advocating for that. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay. I believe back in February, we voted that, yes, we were going with the Mylod location. Are we still with that? And because right now, Weston and Sampson's saying, I know you voted that way, but you've talked about all these other things. Do we want to take back our original vote? Or do we want to tell Weston and Sampson, no, we are going to use the Mylod location, proceed on developing whatever you need to go to the Water Resources Commission for an interbasin transfer and, you know, continue the process. And correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, we're stalled at this point because Weston
The
and
last
Sampson
time she
is...
was in, we told her to continue, as far as the administrative stuff that has to be lined up. I don't think anybody told her, no, we're just trying to be prudent in the alternatives the staff has generated for us to make sure the decisions are right. And it's a dynamic environment, a dynamic universe we're making a decision in. It changes every day. And personally, as I was saying, this election in a few days is gonna make a big difference, because if you heard Elon Musk and heard about the regulatory things, I think if one party gets in, there's gonna be a big difference about PFAS and about all the selling of the poisonous of the water and how everybody's gonna be running for the hills on the water. I think that could change the environment significantly as to whether we do our own well or not.
Well, then maybe we should postpone
So, and
doing
other things, not
anything
just that.
for at least until our meeting in November. And so I guess the answer would be back to Weston and Sampson, is we're still not ready to say definitely the Mylod location so that she can finish the application to the Water Resources Commission and whatever else needs to be done to move this forward.
Well, we'd have to take a vote on that. I don't agree with that. Because I think she can continue to work on the MWRA, because we contracted her, and we can still do that. And at the same time, the staff can get us any relevant information they feel we should consider about their efforts to look at the alternatives. That we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We don't have to blind ourselves and walk in one direction.
Well,
So, and we're just trying to find out, as I say, it's a dynamic environment. So this is good. I was very impressed with the chap from Norwood Town Administrator. I mean, I thought he was trying to be very sensitive to our needs by structuring.
And I
We
agree.
can borrow the money and we can only phase it, and we'll only borrow it when we're ready to do the job and keep it to a minimum and all this type of thing. So I like that attitude. And so I'm not, you know, we didn't create the problem, but the PFAS thing is here. I don't know what we're gonna get for remediation of PFAS too, whether that's gonna kill us or that's gonna enhance us. I don't know how much money we're gonna get and how they're gonna use it.
If we have to
know about
address
that too.
PFAS, connecting to the MWRA for 1 million gallons a day doesn't change that, because we need well more than 1 million gallons a day, even in the middle of the winter. So,
Exactly, well, that's the other point is,
but
if
we're
we
only,
do,
I'm
if we
only
do the
talking
connection
about
for
the
the MWRA, that's
connection,
forever.
John.
And that will not negate having another production well or satellite wells. Those are two compatible things for the future resources of the water system of Walpole. They're not universally, one or the other.
So are we committed to a Mylod connection if we're going with the MWRA or not? I guess that's the thing I don't know, because like I say, we voted it, but we've talked, bringing a line straight through, Norwood from, the MWRA coming down Route 9, at one point cutting through one golf course. I wasn't sure which golf course.
Well, Bill, don't be insulting. That was very logical of us to do. We're
Hey, it's
responding,
fine.
we're responding to the fact that Norwood had a excessively high
fine.
price. So we were looking for
I'm just
economic
saying- I'm
alternatives.
just saying, at this point, Weston and Sampson is stuck, and I think that's what you're saying, Rick. We're not moving ahead because,
according to Bill Abbott.
no.
We told her
according
the
to
last
Weston
time she
Sampson-
was in to continue on for the paperwork and the preparation for getting this application. No one told her to stop work.
She cannot proceed unless she has direction as to where the connection point is gonna be
And that's what I'm asking.
Or you want to vote the connection point?
Well,
No, Weston and Sampson has failed us. You know, just looking at what we know as just civilians here, we know you could have brought a water main down on our sewer interceptor. We have a sewer interceptor that runs into Boston. You can put in that trench a water line, you know that's allowed, okay? That, we could bring this thing down on the right-of-way on 95. But no one has, you know, they're the engineers, they're supposed to look at all the properties, they're supposed to say the overall picture, they're supposed to come to us and say, would you want to go down the sewer line? Do you want to go down 95? Do you want to go through Sharon, or do you want to go through Norwood, and tell us the prices of all those things, the pros and cons? That's why we hired them to do that. They failed us.
I believe that they told us this, it would cost 22 million, I forget which one.
Don't you hear what I just said?
What,
They
pardon?
didn't give us
didn't give us the
enough
sewer-
alternatives and data. All they did was hardly anything. They didn't do their job.
They gave a lot of alternatives, and Weston Sampson asked numerous times, what exactly does the board want to do?
And we
No, so-
talked
That's
about
not the way
Broad
to do it.
Street,
They're
we
supposed to
talked
present
about
the
Union
alternatives.
and
We're not
Washington.
supposed to give them the alternatives and tell them what to do. Then what do you need a
That's what
consultant
we're paying
for?
them.
That's asked backwards, excuse me.
One thing which I think missing in all the discussion is that wheeling charge, like, 20% wheeling charge is how much? The rate calculation, it does not mention.
We moved, I don't think we've moved on from the
Same.
MWRA connection.
Yeah, so on the same MWRA correction, what is the wheeling charges if we are taking million gallon per day? That 20%, is it the 20% every town is paying, or is it the Norwood which is asking it?
It's 20, in other words, Norwood receives a wholesale rate for the water that they get from the MWA. Norwood will mark up that wholesale water rate 20% and bring it to Walpole.
And what
And they
would-
bring it to the town line on Mylard Street between the soccer fields and the town of Norwood.
And why is
For
that number?
20%,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what they do.
But what is that number in dollar figure?
It depends
Why is
on
this-
how, if we use no MWRA water, it doesn't matter because the MWRA charge is zero. So 0 times 20% is still zero. If we take 1 million gallons, I think the current rate is like, I think it's actually closer to $5,000 per million gallons. Then mark that up by 20%, and we'd have to pay, what?
6,000.
6,000 roughly.
Well,
Okay,
what they pay, what they told me is, they mark up their water more than 20%. So we will not, we're paying at or below the customer rate of water.
So
The people in Norwood that turn the faucet on, we're paying the same rate or less, turning the faucet on in Walpole.
yeah, so my only point is I don't want to look at the assumptions. I want to look at the real numbers about the wheeling cost also. And that's never presented to us. Like, it's a 20%, but is every town paying 20%? And if it is 20%, then what is the cost to the town of Walpole? And how much the rate impact will it have?
It was a standard charge, and that was presented in the past meeting.
So what is the charge? Like, what is the dollar amount? Like,
Every community MWA charges every community, and last I heard, it was like 4,500 per million gallons per day, of water. The 20% is what Norwood says, you come through our line, you're paying an extra 20%. If we were coming, and that's the only I guess if, for Sharon, they would say, that's, if you take water through us, you pay 20% extra also. But it's really what Norwood wants to charge, and it's their pipes and they're saying, this is what we're charging, take it or leave it.
But the reality is, Pradeep, is that the 20%, they have a water system maintained. They've
No,
got-
I
they've got-
understand.
No,
I
no, just
totally
let me say it.
understand.
They have 10 miles of pipe from the MWRA to Walpole. They're responsible for that. They maintain that pipe, they fix the leaks, like you fix leaks all the time. They take care of all that for us. That's all their maintenance. They gotta replace those pipes, they've got a management. It's gotta be perfect on their end. It's all on their dime, and that's part of the fee we pay. And we're paying no more than a Norwood customer pays to turn the water on. We're not paying any more than that. And that's a good deal.
What is
That's
the
a good
number?
deal.
So
They
what is?
maintain the whole system. We don't have to touch any of that water.
Agree, but what is that dollar number, like per year cost?
Like Commissioner Abbott said.
We're using
Go
a
look at the rates
million
of
gallon.
Norwood. Get the Norwood rates from Steve. He's probably got them right on his
No,
computer.
the Norwood rate does not tell the MWRA wholesale rate, so that's the whole point.
Norwood has to pay $4,500 for the MWA when it enters theirs. Anything that happens within Norwood, as John says, fixing a leak, repainting their storage, anything that they do with the distribution, Norwood has to add it on to come up with their water rate. And
So that doesn't affect us. We're not.
no,
paying
it
that
does
water.
not affect us. And it's like once the water at the Mylod site comes into Walpole, that's just the cost of the water at that point. Scott's group has to take care of any leaks that come up with, and that gets added in.
Yeah.
The billing of the process, the indirect, all those other things are added on.
But that should be a minimum, because we already have our system.
So
What is
what's the
coming into
dollar
our
cost?
system?
So this is still, what is the dollar cost to town of Walpole for a year for using 1 million gallon per day? Assuming that we are using it 100% of it all throughout the year.
We could figure that out. I mean, I built a spreadsheet that would, you put the percentage in.
About $2 million a year,
$2 million we would pay to,
water and 20%.
and 20%.
So
If we use the, now, if we took that million gallons a day, then I presume we would be pumping 1 million gallons a day less from our wells, and that would reduce our chemical costs.
So
And you-
out of 2 million per year, you'll be paying $60,000 to Norwood just to get that water.
Well, I think it was 1,000 times 365, right? So it'd be 36,000.
Um,
20%
well,
of 2 million
we
is
would
40,
pay-
sorry.
Almost 365,000.
For 360, 40,000. Yeah, 400K, sorry. 20%.
Wheeling fee, yes.
Yeah.
But you can't assume, Walpole is a growth community and a growth market. We have 3 big housing projects just approved downtown. We have, in the last 2 meetings, we've had 2 hotels come in here, 2 new hotels. So Walpole's gonna be using more and more water. Walpole's a big town and it isn't filled up. So you can't use historical data to project costs of water, because Walpole's gonna need more water. And if this is one avenue to get it, and it may be the less expensive way to get it in the future, depending on how much regulations change and how well our system stands up to it. But that's the other part. By having a backup, we can manage our wells better, take better care of them, shut them down, improve them, clean them, whatever, so they have the longest possible life cycle. And at the same time, we can also look at the new wells and look at the satellite wells to make sure we have a rich array of redundancy and supply. And that's really what the community would want us to do, because the community may be 30,000 or 35,000 in a number of years from now, so they're gonna be using more water. And water's a scarce resource in almost every place in the country except New England.
So the final thought I have is that $346,000 for fixed costs to be paid to Norwood. and another 350K per, floating cost, we need to pay to Norwood as a wheeling cost to get 1 million gallon per year, so almost $700,000 per year to the Norwood.
We only
Okay.
pay wheeling costs for the water that
Yeah,
the
I'm
staff
just-
decides they
I'm-
want to use.
Yeah, I'm just estimating at 100% use. So the fixed cost is also looks like a wheeling cost to me, the 350K, and another floating on top of it of 350K, up to 350K is what makes the things worse for us to get the water from Norwood, the 700 or even $500,000 per year to Norwood. The fixed cost 300, let's assume 300K.
Yeah, if the fixed cost is $300K, and you build the Walpole water customer somewhere between $30 to $36 or $38 per year as a capital improvements fee every year, that would more than cover that cost to Norwood. So they added that supply system. No interest.
What my point is like, we will be ending up.
Are we to move forward with the MEPA process?
What do you recommend, Rick?
I recommend that we wait until we see what we get from the satellite wells before we expend any additional funds on the permitting process. Because as part of that MEPA process, we are going to have to prove that we exhausted all options within the community.
Well, then we have to do it anyway. So part of exhausting our resources is to finish this.
Right.
But how long is that going to take? I
So,
guess that's the
so
other.
if they determine that we have viable sources within our own community, it could hurt our argument for connection to the MWRA.
They could just say, you don't need, the Water Resource Commission could say, you do not need 1 million gallons a day from the MWRA, which is what we're asking for, because you got Minebrook 4 million gallon. You've got, you're not fully utilizing other potential sources. They could say, you don't qualify.
Well, they could say a lot of things that'd be incorrect. And they're looking in the rearview mirror like the typical government bureaucrats
Yeah,
that
but
they are.
unfortunately, they're the ones that have the final say.
I know, but you can't assume they're gonna be stupid and negative. I mean, you think somebody have half a
I
brain
don't
over
think
there.
I don't think they're stupid and negative. I think they have a set of guidelines and policies that they operate under. And they do that throughout the Commonwealth,
No,
with all water supplies.
yeah, not to be argumentative, but as you know, when the withdrawal permits, they see a town's growing, and instead they reduce the withdrawal permits. That makes no sense. Anybody, any common man that has a half a brain would know, that's stupid. That's not planning. So, I mean, I don't give them that much credit if that's the way they think.
So what did we pump last year? Average gallons for the 2.25?
2.5, 2.7.
Average. On average over the course of the whole year?
Of the whole year, yes.
So we're still well within our allotted.
If you
Yeah, but
look
we
at
get,
the,
but if we get the water from the MWA, we're gonna be somewhat protected for that.
if you look at the correspondence number 4, I've been going by, January through April, what the average has been, May through September, what the average daily usage, and October through December for the fiscal year, or the calendar year, 2017, 18, 19, 20. I mean, you can see what, and it says what Steve had said. I mean, during the summer, it looks like the most we did was 2.9 per day, but others have been, less than that, 2.5, 2.46, 2.5 in the summer, but certainly when you're looking at, the non-peak months, which are, 7 of the months, it's just around 2, or a little bit below.
7.2.
We've been getting this for, month after month, so.
And I think we, you know, the state, a lot of people try to motivate people to conserve water. So people are probably, they aren't sprinkling their lawns, they're using less water.
We're using less water than we did in the eighties,
Yeah.
I agree.
even though the population.
And, but there are new trends too, that tell people they should drink more water, use more water, et cetera, so who knows? I don't know, anybody else have any? I mean, I don't see this as either or like turning, you know, 180 degrees in one direction or the other. I think we got two things that are still moving down parallel paths or complementary paths. And I think we have to make sure we get the best information on them and make the best decision. I mean, I would just say, I'm proving from 5 years ago, we were talking about joining the MWRA, and the admission cost was what, $6 million? People thought that was fine, and we would have had to pay Norwood another $6 million, you know, to go through it. So we're in a better position today, as far as getting that water than we were 5, 6 years ago, that's for sure.
So.
This free period with no entrance fee ends in 2027. I mean, so we can't just keep dawdling along, otherwise we're gonna find out, oh, we missed the time, and all those costs, you know, whether it's $5 million for, tack on another $5 million, the entrance fee alone. I mean, it really, this is the optimal time to.
You're kind of arguing against yourself.
No, we really don't have to worry about that part, because we've already made our wishes known. So we will be included, even when they.
Well, I appreciate that from
We will
your
be-
knowledge being on the.
We're
advisory board.
we're in the lockstep with this project.
Okay.
Now, we may not get anything, but we're there. And if we do, we'll be under the old rules.
Oh, that would be good, yeah, if we are.
They won't throw us to the wolves.
Is there a flip on that? There's also money, Rick, isn't there, for water infrastructure improvements and so forth?
Not for us, it's for the MWRA water community.
So if Norwood might be able to get some of that money to work on our project, to work on the.
Possibly.
Yeah, so that's another potential benefit. And the other thing is that when what you're doing, what I'm perplexed about is, I would think they would appreciate the honesty of our efforts, that you're truly looking at alternatives to answer the MIPA inquiry. You know, I mean, as
Appreciate
opposed
it
to
or not.
covering them up and pretending we.
Appreciate it or not, it's a requirement.
But they know about Mine Brook already, we're not hiding that, really, I mean, somebody's gonna come up with that. So, and they know you can put perimeter wells in, so, so I don't think we're ruining our case by continuing that effort, even if we ask Leah to go forward to the next step and start to prepare the MIPA application.
That's exactly what we'll do.
Okay, that sounds good, because we all want what's best here. No one's trying to sell anything to anybody
We'll see how
else.
the MIPA process and the Water Resource Commission shakes out and see where it goes. But that's like the ultimate, probably second step. First step is committing to doing it, identifying alternatives and location points, which the board did. Voted for the Mylord Street connection. Now we have a connection point. We need to show MIPA and Water Resources that we're committed to this and we want to do it. And just see what they come back with for, questions and requirements.
Good. No, and we have a cooperative partner in Norwood that wants to help us out. And I think we've at least negotiated, got ourselves to a figure that's close.
Just with regard to Norwood and fairness to the town of Norwood, they're not requiring anything or requesting anything different than we would have had the shoe been flipped.
Right.
Yeah.
So they need to protect their own interests as well, and I fully understand that.
Right. Well, that's the spirit I get from both these gentlemen, that they want to work with to the degree they can, they really want to work with us, and they push the envelope, even the fact of offending their own selectmen to make sure that they're not giving too good of a deal to Walpole. So,
Well, I wouldn't say it's a good deal.
well, yeah, maybe it's fair.
We tweak it.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick, appreciate it. All right. Jarvis,
Jarvis, I got something for Jarvis.
No, we are at correspondent two.
oh yeah, we're way up there already. We got the inclining sewer rate. You want to explain that one, Bill?
At some time during these meetings, someone had inquired about maybe we should do inclining rates on sewer. I looked at the MWRA's annual rate study, and most of the towns that have sewer have an inclining block rate. Most of them say that they charge based on 100% of your water use. We've, as you're aware, we just have a flat rate, and we've used 85% and 90% commercial, but 85 for residential and 90%. And so I just said, we had some discussion, if people were interested. I'd work up some numbers. I also have, just can tell you where the distribution of our customers, how it looks like. This is, which one, is this the,
Cubic foot range.
is this page one?
Yes.
All right, this is the distribution of all of our 8,000 customers, the number of customers by each 1,000 cubic feet in a quarter. So, and for, so this is where tier 1 is, everything over here, and it actually is half of our revenue comes from right here. Tier 2 is at 2,400, so it's this group. Tier 3, what is that, it's around about here, so tier 3 is this, and tier 4 is right here. I stopped here because Siemens is out so far, if I graphed it, it would not fit within the room. So, anyways, if we go to the, this is all of our customers. This is residential, looks very much the same. The difference is this line is a little bit shorter. A lot of the commercial customers, banks, real estate offices, they got a bathroom. So that's the reason that on that. But it basically looks the exact same because the bulk of our customers, we have around 8,000 customers. We have about 400 or 500 are commercial. So if we go to the commercial, you can see it. It looks much different. And again, we have some very large users. And again, I always stopped at, this is 6,000 cubic feet. But you can see we don't have that typical curve, and that makes it a little bit hard to come up with an inclining block rate when you're dealing just with the commercial customers.
Yeah, what's the scale on there? Is it number?
Yeah, this is the number of customers. For commercial, those who use less, 100 or less is probably about 17 customers out of the 400 or 500 customers that are commercial customers that we have. If we go to the next one there, this is when you put them together. This is the residential, and this is the this orange is what the commercial customers look like.
And this is all sewer only or the water? Like
Just water.
just water?
But our sewer is basically, with the exception of one customer, H&V, who has a regular water use and sewer use, but they also take water out of the Neponset River, and it's huge. And I can show you on the customers. But you can see, when we have the inclining block rates for, all of them, it basically matches, you know, what you see here. But when you try and doing it for just commercial, or, you know, which is a lot of it, it's, and I guess what I was focusing here, you would ask, what if we did it 100% on sewer rather than the 90? There's not a whole lot of customers.
So this distribution is all water customer and sewer customer are very less, isn't it?
But I could look to see how many customers, we have around, I think around a little bit, 5,500 sewer customers, Scott, around that. I mean, I could look to see what the usage is. Does it make a whole lot of difference if you're just a water customer? Do you use more water because you're not paying for sewer, or does it have any
Not that
effect?
way, not that way. The comparison, what I was expecting is that the sewer users are smaller set of the whole water user, like, you know, just
Well,
the
they
5,000.
certainly are a smaller subset. I mean, you
yeah.
can see, you know, that they're dwarfed by the number of residential customers.
So most of the cost is borne by those smaller set, or the 5,000 customers, and we are talking about out of that.
No, if we go to the next.
Hold on that one. On the far right, what's the red and the blue there? Who's that?
Well, it's everybody who uses 6,000 or more. As I said, if I wanted to, I was doing it at 100 cubic foot increments.
And so there's a number of people who use, businesses who use.
That are way out, and that's what I think, if you see, I have a list of the top 25. We go
Okay.
to the next, so.
And the blue one, who's that?
What?
The blue one, what?
Oh, this, again, we have
It's
a
a water.
lot of folks who
Residential.
are residential that use a lot of water. It's primarily, you're not on sewer, but you're watering your lawn.
Or these are the condo buildings.
Yeah, that's.
There must be a condo
If we
building.
look at the next one, you'll see, this is our largest water users, and you can see, this is sewer. We go down, the next one I think is water. Yeah, here's water, and, you know, Siemens is like 8 times the size of our next, and then that's, when you see, these are large water users, but they are dwarfed by, you know, Siemens. And they're, I mean, this is an apartment. These are the two that are down by the train station. This is out, the one off New Pond Village, that area there. There's a car wash. This is the one off of, what's the, drawing a blank.
Hilltop, is that?
Hilltop, it's the preserve. This is one of the preserves. This is another one that's back behind Walmart. Pennington Crossing, we know where that is. This is 180 Main Street. That's another one that's in New Pond Village. They have multiple accounts. Walpole's, I'm not sure, there's multiple buildings, but I'm not sure whether some of them are warehouse, but they're using a lot of water, so somebody's doing something other than a warehouse. This is the sand and gravel that makes the concrete on West Street. Herb Changes is obviously commercial. Bird Middle School. This is, in Main Street, there's some apartments, you know, the first floor is commercial. I mean, so these are the, like the big users. These, obviously, are that big line greater than 6,000. So if we go back to the sewer. On the sewer, you have, again, sewer, Siemens uses a lot of water, and they get a big sewer bill. H&V, this all is, they don't pay a cent to us for the water. They're getting it out of the Neponset River, but they use it in their manufacture, but they have to put it in the sewer. And these two, represent 15% of our revenue. And I think that one of the concerns that one at least might, you want to keep in mind, you know, the apartment buildings are going to be there. There's nothing that's going to happen. And I think Siemens, they got a lot invested. They're going to, you know, continue to be there. I don't know about H&B. Is it a commodity item and it's, you know, been there forever? It's an old building. Maybe what's inside the building is the latest new stuff and they'd never move. Or maybe it's a commodity thing that if you dramatically increase, they'd say, we got other locations. On Siemens, you know, we always are saying, they're selling our water. Is 90% of their water going out? In which case, would they say, oh, wait a minute, I want to have a, you know, just a sewer charge of I'll have a sewer meter. And you could see, all of a sudden, if it was 90%, and I have no idea, maybe 10% of their water goes out as a, you know, their product, maybe 90%, but this number potentially could drop, and that's something that if you know, when I was trying to come up with an inclining block rate, you know, just looking at these numbers, you can see these are the people that could see a dramatic increase and maybe might make decide to change the way they operate. I don't know. Anyways, if we just go to the previous ones, I just thought you might want to see, you know, certainly our distribution of customers is basically there, and when you add in the commercial, they're small potatoes. And a lot of them are, as I say, what's a bank use? What's a, you know, a real estate office use, or a lawyer's office? You know, and what the people out here are, some of the restaurants are, you know, the bigger apartment complexes, car wash, so that sort of thing. So, as I thought, I did the graphs, I thought you might be interested just to see what our customer base looked like.
So your analysis is it's probably not that productive.
Well, because, you know, when you have something that looks like the water use, you can do things that when you have a, you know, a little, it's much harder to do something. Although at the same time, I tell you, the rest of the world is having an inclining block rate, and they typically use the same blocks. So in ours, the first would be 0 to 1500, 1501 to 24, you know, they would all, I rarely found that they used something other than what they use for water. So anyways, it's just something that.
Yeah, the one comment I have is that I think Walpole is getting a lot of commercial buildings coming up, commercial in the sense, even the multifamily homes. So this will change from being a single-family town to being a multifamily town, and we should be getting ready to.
Yeah, well, now, and one of the things is I just want to say, here's the real numbers, so that you can say, oh, we have a lot of commercial? Well, not really.
We
Now,
don't have
maybe
it,
we're going.
Yeah, we
Going
don't have
that
it.
way,
I
but
agree. We don't
if you
have
wanted
it.
to do it now,
We don't have a lot of multifamily homes also, but they are coming up.
Yeah.
So the assumptions for future is different than what we have now. So we should be like,
yeah.
the inclining rates will certainly help the smaller users and you know, charge appropriate for the bigger user.
So I'm not suggesting whatever, I'm just saying, I know there was some interest. I said, let me just come up and show you, here's some of the ideas and then some graphs so you could see where the distribution of our customer base is, so.
Okay. So we have water pumped.
Now the third one is the meeting schedule.
Oh, we have a meeting scheduled, yeah, okay. This is from Terry.
I can't be here on July 14th or 28th. And I suggest that we, on December, we drop off the 22nd meeting. It's too close to Christmas. And so I won't be here in the July, and I might not make the June 23rd meeting either. I might be out of town. So that's my schedule.
Probably drop to November 24th, too. Thanksgiving week.
November 24th?
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one to knock off.
Like, knock that off,
Yeah.
kind of close to Thanksgiving.
And what did you want in December?
22nd. also
December
is
22.
22nd?
Close to the Christmas.
That's what,
Okay, any others?
Which July one did you knock off, Patrick?
No, July, he'll be
Okay.
out of town. So
Yeah, I
Don't
mean,
you
we wanna
function-
just do maybe one in
Yeah.
July, one in August?
Yeah, well, pick which one.
what,
Rather meet the 28th or the 14th?
July
28th.
28 is better, yeah. July
Okay.
4th.
So we'll get rid of the 14th, Terry, and the,
August 11th?
August 11th?
Because you're meeting on 28th.
I'm just suggesting just one a month during the summer.
Yeah,
You can meet in August 18th if it is middle of the August.
all right, so they want to change that to the August the 18th instead of the two meetings, the 11th and 25th. And we have the meeting on the 28th of July. And then we're eliminating November 24th and December 22nd. Okay?
And August 18th, replacing the other two dates in August.
Just one date in August, 18th. Okay, so now we have water pumped. Correspondence 4.
It's okay.
Looks okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and then revenues. Correspondence 5. Anybody have any thoughts on that? What's your interpretation, Bill? Actual,
One of the things I was going to do is, I mean, we know that revenue doesn't come in on a regular progression. You know, there are the months where you're dealing with the lower volumes, namely the spring time and the winter, that the revenue is not going to be as great as it will be when you're billing for the summer months. And the summer months actually get billed in the fall, typically. So it might be able to show that the total revenue doesn't go in a straight line up. There are periods where it peaks
Right.
and, you know, it's always climbing, but it's not as steady. If people are interested, I could go back and see if we're, you know, what the normal flow is, and are we following the path that we have in the past, or is there something unusual? The other thing that you should be aware of is that the bills that go out in the first months of a quarter of the fiscal year are rated on the prior year's rates, not the rates for that fiscal year, because you're talking about, you know, April, May, June water usage, and that's at the prior use. But revenue gets counted once it's actually paid, which would be in July, you know, in August and that sort of thing, so.
okay? Anybody good with that? Okay, thank you, Bill. So we already discussed MWRA water connection. The next, number 2 would be Jarvis Farm.
yeah, I'd like to talk about that for a second. This is sort of a sad story. Back about a month ago, I brought to the board's attention about parking at Jarvis Farm, that maybe we should move the fence and have people park in the driveway instead of entering into the more protected watershed area. Anyway, the reason I brought that up then was because I noticed my driveway had a whole bunch of some kind of leakage, and it was my power steering fluid. And it triggered me to say, you know, if my truck is leaking, cars parked in Jarvis Farm are gonna leak too. Okay, so I brought that up. But I'm back again because a few days ago, well, actually about 5 days ago, my car started leaking in the driveway. It's a sad story. And it was the radiator leaking fluid, antifreeze fluid. So I'm going to bring it back again tonight that we should leave the gate where it is, but put another gate down further at the end of the driveway saying no authorized vehicles beyond this point, so that they can't drive actually into the Jarvis Farm, but have to park along the road that leads to Jarvis Farm. So that is my motion, and therefore I move that.
Will any other car can park between these two gates, like any estimate, like how many cars can park within this?
There's enough room there.
How many cars, like?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, by now, how many cars can you park there? On the driveway, on one side of the driveway.
There's sections of that driveway you can't park on and get down. No, I don't know.
It depends on how far up from the.
Well, my proposal is for
And it blocks-
the new other
Oh,
fence to be
access.
right down just before the pond.
Yeah, I don't know the linear feet now, guys, from the entrance.
Okay, I think there's enough room there for anybody who's using the farm. I never saw that many cars there unless it was, a parking,
It might be squeezing
used as a parking lot.
As Commissioner Fisher pointed out, it might be squeezing cars going down that road. If you stop and have to turn around and come back. Well, cars are back there, might be tight.
So there'd just be two gates. Because I think we should block off the driveway when the park isn't, when the Jarvis Farm is not being used. And we keep the other gate shut except for authorized vehicles.
How about just posting a message saying
Huh?
that no car beyond this point?
Yeah,
Not the gate, but, just a.
right there. They can't
message.
go into the actual Jarvis Farm.
Yeah, it's not about gate, but at least have a posted,
Yeah, they're getting too close to our,
Yeah.
especially the pond is right there where they've been parking. It's the worst place it could possibly be. And like I say, this brought to my attention because in a period about a month, I've had 2 leaks. So, cars do leak.
so I agree that, it should be protected, but we should get some input, whether we can put a signboard or something saying that no cars beyond this, something like that, and how much car can be parked before that sign, some numbers, if you can give us to the board, I think we can.
And this is a temporary measure, because as soon as we have a parking lot that's environmentally safe, then we would obviously let the cars park there, inside, if there was a
Where
way
are
we
at
could
with that
protect them.
focus survey? Where are we at with that survey that we requested on that?
Right now, it hasn't been done. Talking about the survey in its entirety,
Yeah, but we reduced the scope of it, remember?
right? Those with, marketed.
So what percentage is complete?
So I'm not sure what the percentage is. I can
All
get.
right, fine, I'll find out. Can I make a
So,
suggestion?
if I get your request is that if the Jarvis Farm isn't being used for a planned event or a recreation, that you want the second gate shut? Is
Yeah.
that the idea?
They should not be parking in an area that is highly sensitive. I mean, doesn't get any more sensitive than this, unless you're parked next to the well, which you almost are.
Jeff, you wanna make a suggestion?
Oh, no, it had nothing to do with this. For the appointments for the next meeting.
I mean, what else could be? Put some cones up there to have a no parking area, put some cones so they know they shouldn't go in that area. Is there a second gate there?
No, there's
No.
not.
So can we ask the superintendent to bring us the options for us to post sign, at least the sign saying that do not park beyond this mark or something?
Yeah, we can look at it and make sure it's not gonna, create more of a disturbance than it has to have cars lining up, getting in and out with a closed gate, turning around.
No, I come up with the option, like, we're not saying that, you know, you have to tell us now, but at least next meeting, give us the option. Whether there should be a sign or how much car can be parked before the sign normally, something like that.
Okay. All right, then, next meeting is November 18th.
Yeah, John, can I make a suggestion for next meeting too? So for Lou Petrosi's appointment, separate those into two separate appointments, one for Union Square Village and the other for Pinnacle Point.
Okay, anything else?
Meter to cash report looks okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's it, yeah, I read through it and it looks fine.
And dealing with the Union Street issue, do we have a policy? Does the water department have a policy of when connections should be made and all that? And because that's what it's coming down to.
Standard practice, usually,
Maybe you could put out, here's our standard practice, so we have something in writing saying this is what we've done, you know, for ages, and are there exceptions that we've made or whatever? If we've in fact made any exceptions, so. So we can be prepared for our next meeting when he comes.
Okay, all set? Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Moved and second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you.